Did Jesus tell us to hate everyone and to hate ourselves to find ourselves? Peace. And welcome to Not Church. I'm Peter Panagore, MDiv from Yale, a natural born mystic with multiple mystical, transformative, out of body and in body, spiritually transformative experiences over a lifetime. The gifts of my near death experience gave me a compulsion of the inner pursuit of the unspeakable holy. Spiritually transformative experiences change our lives. They remake us. We are born again, and with each experience, again and again. Each time, the holy touches us. I take an historical, critical approach to Christianity and a mystical approach to Jesus. Not Church Sunday deconstructs religious programming by exploring mystical truths hidden behind centuries of Christian theology. Today, we're going to talk about Jesus, talking about hating everyone, including yourself. Let's begin with feeling love, joy, healing, wholeness, and peace within us, between us, among us, from above us, surrounding us, much greater than us. Let's share the light, connecting our hearts in real time. And today, my friends, I offer you something new for your centering prayer silence practice. Add this on top of your chant this morning with your breath and your mental focus. Okay, so feet on the floor or however you're sitting. Inhale into the well of your belly, as you usually do. And exhale, as usual, following your chant, adding with, while, gently pushing out, reaching out beyond yourself through your chakras. Pick one. I'm picking this one, and this one, and this one. I'm going to pick one. And you push out with a gentle force on your exhale. And you reach out to each other as I reach out to you. Into yourself, out into this community. There's no grasping. There's no self. As much as you can, push with an empty mind. Inhale, exhale, and reach out through your sacred heart. Feel the reach. Don't grasp. Stay focused on your chant and breath, and we'll finish up with 3 ohms. So let me know how this goes in the chat. Let me know how this goes in the comments. Let's settle in and begin. I'll get us going. Okay. My hands are on my lap. My feet are flat. My back is straight. I'm relaxing my muscles. Relax my feet. Relax my calves. Relax my back, my neck, my hands, my face. Inhale. Exhale. Push. Inhale. Exhale. Push. Focus on your breath. Focus on your chant. Together. 3 ohms. Did Jesus tell us to hate everyone and to hate ourselves to find ourselves? By request, Luke 14:26. Bad news, then good news. Quote, if any man come to me and hate not his father and his mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. The King James Patriarchal Version. The word in question is hate. In the Greek, it's plural. Misi. Misi, hates. The word misi in Greek specifically means hate. It can't be translated in any other way. To prove my point, I encourage you to go to the link below, and it is there this week. Go to the link below and see the long list of hate translations from Greek. This is at Gateway Bible. It's this list of all the translations in English. And you can see for yourself how many times the word hate is used. That just goes to show that there's no other real translation for it. As you may see for yourself, a very few translations, they try to soften the meaning by having Jesus say, you must love me more than your mom, your dad, your sisters, etc. Not the same thing. And not the meaning in the Greek. But there is an escape. And Wendy, and I should say hi to everybody that I didn't say hi to before. I'm going to skip back here. Connie, Wendy, Nancy, Jim, David, Karen, Sean, Cynthia, Helen, Beth, Sheila, Carmen, Shane, Linda, Logan, Garney, Gargi, John. Okay, Wendy, the escape. You were right. It is a matter of translation. You asked that in the chat. It is a matter of translation, but it's not what you think. It wasn't what I thought anyway. The escape. Did Jesus ever say the word misi? Did he? No, he never said the word misi because Jesus, like everybody else in his entire nation, spoke Aramaic, not Koine Greek. Koine Greek is what it's written in decades later. He spoke Aramaic. He didn't speak Greek. He never spoke Greek. He never said misi. So now, listen to the Passion Translation, a new translation of the same passage, and then let me explain. Jesus said, when you follow me as my disciple, you must put aside your father, your mother, your wife, your husband, your sisters, your brothers. It will seem even as though you have to put aside your own life. This is the price you'll pay to be considered one of my followers. Put aside. Put aside. Very mystical of him. The Passion Translation has a footnote which explains this, and this is where I got so excited. As you can see, I'm like, whoa. I have struggled with this passage because I thought that there was a different, deeper meaning. Because I felt like there was. That there was something wrong with the translation, and there is. Now, here's the footnote that the Passion Translation notes, and you can see that below too, because there is a link down there, but I'm going to read it for you here. Hate. This is an Aramaic and Hebraic metaphor for putting Jesus above every other relationship. Or in our case, we put the I am, the energy of the divine, the source of all being, the presence of the divine self above every other relationship. This is a metaphor for that. The Aramaic word, and here's the real thing about it, the Aramaic word SNA, sna, I don't know if I'm saying that right, SNA, it's an Aramaic word, and this Aramaic word has several meanings, which can mean hate or put aside. In this case, Jesus, the king, the proclaimed king of love, is not saying to hate, but to put aside every other relationship into second place. The meaning becomes quite clear in the Aramaic language, says the footnote. This is the crazy thing. This is my direct experience. This, putting aside everything else into second place, is the experience of my near-death experience. Everything else went into second place. I didn't hate my mother and father. I didn't even hate myself. Everything just went into second place. I put aside everything. But, it was more like it was done to me than me choosing this. So when I came back from my first NDE, every relationship became subordinate to my attachment to my beloved, the source of my and all being. Everything became subordinate to it. I put aside everything. It remains as true for me today as it was on the moment of my return into this life, into this body, that first time. The consequence to all my relationships, especially my primary relationships, to my family and friends, is to make all of them secondary. This orientation toward oneness supersedes all human love of mother, father, sister, brother, wife, child, grandchild, and friend. Yet, through those relationships, I experience some of the same love from above. Because all love comes from the great storehouse of love, the data bank of love flowing from the quantum field of love above. Set aside all other love is less a command as it is a recognition of direct mystical experience. You don't choose to do this so much as it happens to you. As you aim your heart through your meditations, as you have a mystical experience that does this to you. Set aside all other love is less a command, I repeat, as it is a recognition of direct mystical experience. It is the same, my mystical friends, when it comes to the end of this verse, to hate your own life. Now, many do hate their own lives. Many hate their parents or a sibling or a spouse or an ex-friend or an ex. Hate can save their life if they've been abused. Hate like that is a powerful defender, but hate has a price. Do you hate yourself? Do you hate your person or your personal life or just parts of yourself? Well, how do you come to love yourself? Jesus says, set yourself aside to find yourself. Myself was set aside. In my near-death experience, it was set aside for me. I didn't do it for myself. I've come to that process. I've come to that through the process of meditation in the decades since, to the same place. But it was done to me. Now, many of you know that I've spent much of my life suicidal. People have misunderstood this as me hating life. I've never hated life. I've had as much fun in life as I possibly could have, enjoying every moment that I can. I have never hated life. I only love heaven most of all, which is why I have spent half my life since my first NDE praying for my own death, not because I hated life, but because I love heaven most of all. This thing that was done to me. It wasn't a decision that I made in belief. It was what happened to me when I died, and it happens to me now. This can be experienced and grown through the incremental path of self-denial that is silence that comes from deep self-emptying in prayer and meditation over a lifetime. Jesus set himself aside. He set everything else aside. He never tells us to me-see ourselves. He never says, hate yourself to find yourself. He tells us to snaz ourselves, set ourselves aside. Jesus always spoke out of his personal, transformative, mystical experiences. Everything he says, everything that comes out of his mouth comes from his own experience, just like everybody else. Listen to this same verse as if Jesus was talking about his experience when he's talking to his disciples instead of telling us what to do. So, first person. When I became a disciple of the light, I set aside my father, my mother, my sisters, and my brothers. I set myself aside. This was the price I paid. Oh, there's a price to this. There's a price to this. It's as unifying as it is dividing. It's as connecting to the holy oneness of being as it is separating from this earth. When you set yourself aside, and everything and everyone else gets set aside with it, not less loved, not ignored, just second. Everything becomes second to heaven. Everything. Everyone. That is the price. And it's a pretty steep one. Because most people can't grasp that. They don't understand it when they're on the receiving end of it. They still feel loved, but not number one. Number one chose to do this to me, and I accepted it. I didn't know what I was getting into. The strange thing is, the more we set ourselves aside, the greater our capacity to love in this world, to feel joy, healing, wholeness, wellness, and stability in this world, even while suffering, which is to say, even while living. Heaven here now. The price we pay for seeing heaven here now is our false self, our egoic mind, which transforms all of our relationships. This singular attachment transforms all of our relationships and attachments. It's not just family who becomes second, it's the entire world itself and everything in it, including my own self, including your own self. If you die before you die, then when you die, you will not die. Thy will be done on earth. Thy will be done in me, on earth, as it is in heaven. In me. The beloved above is the all in all. Hitch your heart to the light. And let's together pour light into the world through our sacred hearts and out to each other, reaching, strengthening, forming a web of light around earth, around our little lives. We are each a photon of the light that flows endlessly. You can shine it, my friends. So tell me in the comments, what does it mean to you? Or what has it meant to you? Or how have you experienced setting yourself aside? I'd like to know. Let's spend another moment in silence, reaching out to each other in our meditation, and then I'll end up with a little prayer. Inhale. Exhale out. Why do you think people listened to Jesus? It was his miracles. That's what the Gospels tell us. This is a miracle. This reaching out to each other, this is the miracle. This is the healing miracle of oneness of being that teaches us who we are. When we reach to each other, we feel the divine itself, themselves. When we set ourselves aside, we find that we are one, and its living presence flows through us. Let's pray. May your healing shine in us and through us and into each other right here and now, and around the world and down through time to every heart who happens here, who we encounter. Aho. Thank you, Connie Hyde, for your super chat gift. And thanks, everyone, for being here today and for listening. So, what do you think of the Dayglow painted one finger salute? We're smaller numbers today, maybe that's why. I thought it was very expressive. You can join us at the top of the hour for Mystic Tea Salon. The Zoom link is in the description below this week. And topic requests for daily devotions. Oh my gosh, that's just memory speaking. Topic requests for not church are welcome. And if you like what you hear, please give a little bit. Thank you very much, Kristen Adams. Thank you. Here, super chat or through Patreon, PayPal, or Venmo at peterpanagore.love. I really am here trying to do this weekly for you all. I also want to thank our moderator, our weekly moderator, Catherine, who's here always, just in case. I specialize in speaking with and counseling spiritually transformed people who may be struggling with their mystical experiences from all over the world. And you can make an appointment with me at peterpanagore.love. And thank you, Nancy. Well, let's see what's going on in the chat. Yes, thanks, Catherine. How are we doing on time? Well, I'm glad that you liked the topic. It was a request, and I was very surprised to find that translation pointing to the Aramaic, and I did my best to find an Aramaic, the Aramaic Bible, because I know that there is an Aramaic translation. I just couldn't lay my hands on it this week. So I'd like to see that in the Aramaic myself. I'm taking the word of the translators of the Passion translation of the Bible. I took their word for it because I couldn't see it for myself. But wow, huh? How much more is lost from the Aramaic to the Greek? Now, all we have is the Greek, but how much more how much more was lost? A lot, I bet. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I'm glad it was hilarious too. Yeah, reminds you of the '60s. Oh, you like the day glow hand, huh? Yeah, I thought it was hilarious too. I was like, oh, I like that. It says so much in that one image. I was very happy to find it. I found it at Prexel, and it's a free free thumbnails, free images. They like you to thank them or make a backlink. I make backlinks every week, and I hope I did this week. Now that I said that, I hope I did. I think I did. A backlink is where you put up a link to another website so that the Google, the AI can see this thing. And anyway, it's a long story. Anyway, great topic. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, everybody. You have helped me more than you know, says Connie. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. I know that this is a tough saying. Everybody's like, what do you mean he says to hate? What do you mean? This is what I mean. He doesn't. You girls are kind. Thank you. This is Catherine. What can you tell us about that new translation? Oh, good question. And I anticipated that a little bit, Nancy. You can find the Passion Translation, and I urge you to look up their website, the Passion Translation, because it is a new translation that I'll see if I can grab a little bit here, and I'll read you. Hopefully you can still see me. Passion. I'm typing this in. The Passion Translation and of the Bible. Oh, let's see. Awaken a new love for the Word of God with the Passion Translation. Now available at some bookstore. Let's see. Where's the rest of that saying? Oh my gosh. Why did that? Let's go back here. The Passion Translation is a perfect resource to unlock new ways of looking at the Word. That doesn't help me a whole lot. There it is. I found it. Here we go. Facts. What is the Passion Translation? It represents their passion. Oh, I can't tell you. You're going to have to look it up. There's way too much information here. I'm going to be boring you. You have to look it up. All I know is that it's a new translation, and I stumbled on this thing the other day. And so far, this is the second time I've used the Passion Translation, not knowing much about it at all. I just liked the language of it. And I didn't go looking for it this week, but I think a week or two ago, I used the Passion Translation, and somebody said, oh, I love the Passion Translation. I was like, yeah, I just found it. It's a new thing. And so, no, I really don't know anything about it. But I can say that it solved this problem. This has been a problem. Not to my heart, okay? My heart has always known. I didn't hitch my star to this thing because I haven't hit. Long ago my star was unhitched, right? I'm attached only to my beloved. That's which we're talking about today. Not to language, not to theology, not to a person, not to a book. Anyway, let's move on from that. I wish I had more to tell you about it. You'll have to look it up. Great clarification. This has always kept me away from the Bible. Thank you. Yes, Sandy, that has been a troublesome thing, right? And I assume, and I don't know because I haven't done the research yet, but there are a couple other places he talks about hate too, or in the Greek translation he talks about hate. And I might be taking a look at those too. And we'll see what they say. Maybe I'll do that a little bit next week. Well, maybe we'll continue on the word hate for a couple of weeks. If you think that's a good idea, we can do a little deeper dive. And hopefully I won't be putting myself into a trap here. Like, oh, that's the only place where that's happened, that's true. But I don't think so. I think that it's going to turn out that he never, well, I know he never said it. I know he never did because he didn't speak Greek. But that's it. I was hoping it was a simple language translation issue and wondered why on earth it wasn't known more widely. Yeah, it is. The thing of it is that it went from the spoken Aramaic of the time and place into the Koine Greek, and once it was in the Koine Greek, then it was stuck. It's when you translating something from English into French, some things are lost because there just aren't words, or Russian or Chinese, it's from English, or the other way around, or any other language. It's things are lost. And yes, so it was a translation thing, but nobody was smart enough, like these guys or women who did the translation to the Passion translation, to figure that out and look at the Aramaic. That's because there's always advances in historical critical studies, right? There's always more to learn. That's the thing of it. When experience a negative situation or experience, I do my best to send love to the people involved and the situation. This is me setting myself aside. Carmen, that is you setting yourself aside. That's exactly what that is. You set your ego aside. David talks a lot about that at Mystic Tea Salon, how he sets himself aside. It's a thing that we do. I set myself aside when someone ticks me off, whatever the circumstances. I send them love instead. I put them in front of me, above me. Thank you, Carmen. The Peshitta Aramaic text off the New Testament. I see. I'm sorry. I'm not reading that well. Jim says the Peshitta Aramaic text of the New Testament also translates Jesus' words as put aside instead of hate. Woo! Hey, I'm going to grab that. I didn't know the name of the thing. Copy. I'm going to drop that right here so I have it. Thank you, Jim. I searched for it this week and I couldn't find it. There you go. There you go. Yep, cool, Jim, says Kristen. Loving God first puts things into perspective, rising above negative family dynamics, giving hope and confidence, gives freedom and understanding, says Helen. All these things. Because it tells you that you're eternal. Once you know that you're eternal, it really separates you from the world. It puts you above the world, in the world, but not of the world, as Paul says. We're in the world, but we're not of the world. What is he talking about? This is what he's talking about. Aiming your heart at the divine oneness of being puts the love of the divine above all things. And you set yourself aside to do that, and everything gets set aside with it. Jesus is always talking about the same thing again and again, over and over. I don't think this is the only mistranslation from Aramaic into the Greek in the New Testament, says Jim. Probably not. Probably not. I'm going to be looking at that translation, and thank you for that, Jim, for that Aramaic. It's not really a translation. I don't know. Is it? I guess it would be. Sometimes arriving late complicates things. I must have missed something important again. The Passion Translation. Ugh. Yeah, Betty. It's a different Bible translation that seems to be leaning a little more into the Aramaic, which eliminates the problem around the word hate that Jesus says in the Greek. Of course, he never speaks Greek. He only speaks Aramaic. So yes, you'll have to go back and listen. I think you're right, Jim. Okay, my friends. That is the summation of it. Do we have much more we want to say today? You want to meet at the top of the hour? Not a whole lot of chit chat over here today. I want to thank Connie and Kristen and Nancy for the super chats this morning. I appreciate that help, that support. So if this helped you solve the problem, great. If I helped you solve a problem this morning, that's great. I was hoping so. But mostly, it's much more important to the divine connection is really where it's at. It's much more the message than a translation. Yeah, it's much more a message than a translation. Right. That's kind of the way I was trying to think about it, but I wasn't able to say it. Anybody else got anything you want to add this morning? The late meditation was really powerful. Oh, I'm glad to hear. You can train yourself to reach out. This setting out of love that Carmen commented about It is essentially works on the same principle. It's a decision to push this out of yourself and to bring it into yourself and to push it out of yourself. And when it goes out of yourself, it searches and finds others like itself and it becomes stronger. The binding becomes stronger. It never made sense that Jesus would have said that, so you helped. Good. Yeah, it never made sense to me either. It's like, what is this? There's a lot that has been misinterpreted. Yes, there is. Plus power. Yep. All right, my friends. I'm going to see you at the top of the hour. There's not a lot of chat going on. There's something I need to help my wife with. So I'll see you at the top of the hour very soon. Peace and love, everybody. Namaste. Namaste to you all. Thanks for being here. Set yourself aside.